how many gallons of gasoline you can buy right now with a $100 US dollar bill compared to how many gallons of gasoline you'll be able to buy 5, 10 years from now. Ever find yourself confused with all this economic data? Well, let me tell you something real simple, silver and gold investor. How about 1 year from now? $44 silver, $2,800 per ounce gold. But with all this economic talk, and I'm going to tell you how we're going to get there, all this focus on the Fed, and now Citibank even saying that the Federal Reserve could lower interest rates by 2% over the next 8 Federal Reserve meetings. We need to make some sense of all of this, and that's what we're going to do today. But remember, at its core, the U.S. dollar is going down, down, down in real value. Heck, that's the stated intention of the Federal Reserve, to take away at least 2% of your buying power every year, but it could result in much more. We're going to look at what's going on right now and make some sense of it all. But I want to say thank you to you, yes, you, for being here today. You are the most important part, of Ron's Basement. It's not Ron's Basement, right? It's not RonTube. It's YouTube. It's your basement. Thank you for being here. Please give this a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. I'll put out a new piece of content every single day, something to do with silver or gold. I hope you feel like you found a new home away from home. Thank you for the super chat, super thanks. Thank you for all the support. Enough of that. Let's dig into what's going on. So everybody now, here's the situation, guys. Everybody now is pivoting towards the Fed needing to lower rates. Let's go take a look at some of the headlines. Here we are. Yahoo Finance. Powell, more good data will help Fed to cut rates. How a tiny data move could give the Fed a big headache. Stocks build on records as Powell testifies. Everything is about the Fed and the Fed cutting rates. Then we get this headline from our friends at Fortune magazine regarding Citi. The Fed could slash rates by 200 points over 8 straight meetings as the economy heads for a sharper downtrend. That's according to Citi. Okay, hey guys, let's go over here and take a look at this. Remember this? Oh yes, the inconvenient truth. The U.S. debt clock. U.S. national debt, $34,891, if we round up, $billion. That's the national public debt outstanding. That represents the face amount or the principal amount of marketable and non-marketable securities currently outstanding. I've got a simple question for you. Remember this number right here, $35 trillion. Okay, if they lower rates by 2%, like a lot of people are suspecting could happen in the next 2 or 3 years, I've got a question for you. Who in their right mind is going to buy all that debt? Let's go take a look at this. This will make it crystal clear. This from CNBC, the U.S. 30-year Treasury note. That means that your government will loan you or will take your money. You can loan your money to the U.S. Treasury, and they will pay you, all right, over 30 years, they'll pay you an interest rate of 4.5%. Think about this for a second, guys. If rates do go down, if the Fed does cut rates, and that number goes down to, let's say, 3% again. Here's a long-term chart, right? Look, it was down really low at one point, but heck, all the way back here from about 2006, 2007, and earlier, the rate that the people were demanding from the government was much higher. And during that period of time, the fiscal and monetary condition of the United States was much better. So the first thing we're going to point out is that the Fed does cut rates. Who in their right mind, right, is going to loan money to the United States at a rate that could significantly be lower than where it is right now? Nobody is. And remember, we need more money now. We need to borrow. The United States needs to borrow more money now than any other time in history. to further complicate matters, think about this prospect of lowering interest rates. If they lower interest rates and do it significantly, we already have a big inflation problem in this country. The inflation rate would absolutely skyrocket again. It's already on the precipice of doing so. There's a lot of people that say inflation is still running 8, 9, 10, 12%, right? You know what it feels like to go to the grocery store. You know what it feels like to go to the gas station. You know what it feels like to try to go out to eat with your family. It feels real darn expensive. And let's look up at our friends in Canada. I was talking to one of my good friends from Toronto last night. He was like, oh my gosh, you try to go out to eat. It's just prices are exploding in Canada. And I said, do you think maybe that has anything to do with the fact that the Central Bank of Canada was one of the first to lower rates? He said, possibly. Okay. So guys, let's take a step back. All this talk, all this confusion surrounding interest rates, the value of the dollar, all of it, you can really throw it all out the window. You can go back to that U.S. debt clock and see that untenable level of debt that we're holding right now. You can realize that the world doesn't want that debt. It's almost becoming mathematically impossible that the world would even be able to absorb all that debt. And you can really quite simply distill all of this down to the fact that no matter how you slice it or dice it, right, the real value, the real, not the nominal, not the DXY, let's compare the dollar to chicken poop or whatever you want to say, right? The real value, right? Not comparing the dollar to the yen and the euro, no, or the Canadian dollar. The dollar, US dollar, strong compared to the Canadian dollar. It's all a bunch of smoke and mirror BS. The real value, right? How many gallons of gasoline you can buy right now with a $100 US dollar bill compared to how many gallons of gasoline you'll be able to buy 5, 10 years from now with that same $100 bill. The real value of that dollar is going to continue to go downward, and it will result in, right, value and wealth creation for people that are storing their value, converting, right, their paper money, their paper dollars into real assets, up to and including things like silver and gold. And if you want to get your hands on some silver or gold before it could potentially be too late, please support our channel sponsor, Pimbex, Pimbex. They have gold, they have silver, they have the platinum group metals. What I found is they also have ultra competitive pricing, great packaging, free shipping over $299, great selection, and a company that I can trust. I'll never tell you what to do, but I would recommend that if you're going to buy some silver, gold, or platinum metals online, that you throw Pimbex into the mix. Also, thank you to First Mining Gold and Fortuna Mining for sponsoring Ron's Basement. So we are in a catch-22 right now in this country. The world markets, right? The market forces are not going to accommodate the United States lowering interest rates. Okay. And we know that even if temporarily they're able to do that, it will ignite massive inflation. But as the world demands a higher and higher rate of return on the U.S. debt, right, that will only create a bigger debt hole that the United States will be digging for itself. Eventually, the way this all plays out is that the Federal Reserve monetizes the debt. Our friends in Japan tried that, right? Under the big umbrella of the United States being the world power, and it worked. It worked, I guess, if that's the way you want to describe it, for a decade or so. But even they now are facing some pretty severe fiscal and monetary stresses. The same thing's going to happen here, right? And when the Fed eventually, because mathematically there's no way out of it, has to start printing money to buy the U.S. government debt, it'll be game over. That $44 per ounce silver that we talked about at the beginning of this video, that $2,800 gold, that will feel like child's play. Just my opinion. Don't make any financial decisions based on anything I'm saying, but I rely on logic and calculators. And boy, when I look at the situation we're in right now, it's not very comforting when I think of the financial future for most of my fellow Americans. I'd like to think that I'm prepared, that you're prepared. It's going to be a rough and choppy road ahead, but I'll be here for you through it all. Thanks for joining me in the basement. I'm going to look forward to seeing you next time.